North Carolina has themselves a point guard in KYAN Evans and a whole team that loves to share the basketball.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Monday, November 17th, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I am your host, Isaac Schade, joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, the #1 sports podcast network there is. Thanks for making us your first listener watch to get your Monday going the right way. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Special shout out to all you everydayers who have joined us, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord group, and of course our insiders as well. So glad you're all here. Here's what's happening on the show today. We're going to be looking back at Carolina's win over NC Central on Friday night, but really, if we're being honest, kind of zooming out and looking at where things are 4 games in, because there are some trends we're starting to see. So I want to look at what KYAN Evans has done as a point guard, his assists, and really the whole team in its entirety, because this team is assisting at a level that they have not done in the HUBERT DAVIS era. Secondly, we'll head to our Four Corners recap, where we'll look at the combo of KYAN Evans, Dixon together, LUKA BOGAVAC leading the team in a category in 2 straight games, several other things. And then we'll get to our shady stat of the game, as well as our weekend whip around. So it's going to be a lot of fun, a great show on Monday. Excited to do it. Let's dive in. KYAN Evans, if you had any concern, if he had the capability to be North Carolina's point guard, I'm even going to let you off of the hook. If you were somebody this offseason that was like, he can't do it, it won't be him, he's not the man, come on, get on the KYAN Evans train. There's plenty of room for everybody. Not going to be a whole bunch of see I told you so's. Just, hey, don't miss the train before it leaves the station at this point. Friday night, he finishes with 7 assists and just 1 turnover. Could have been several more assists, just several of them weren't finished or things happen, right? But 7-1, that is absurd. And I love it because each of the first 4 field goals of the game were assisted, all of which were assisted by KYAN Evans. And in fact, in totality, Carolina's first was at 11 or 12 buckets of the game were all assisted. That is Looney Tunes crazy cool, right? These first 4 buckets of the game. The first one, KYAN Evans, LUKA BOGAVAC, kind of just passing back and forth. They're looking for an entry pass, something to find. It's never there, but because they keep shifting east and west, getting the defense moving, finally it just goes back to Bogey at the top of the key, and he drains it for a 3. Next possession, it's off an offensive rebound. Eventually, KYAN Evans gets it up top, penetrates on the left side, lobs to Caleb Wilson coming in from the right side, grabs it with one hand while he's in the air, puts the other hand on it, and slams it home for the oop. I mean, crazy stuff. Assist number 3 for KYAN Evans. It's a made basket for NC Central, and this, is a staple of what North Carolina does. Made basket by the opposition. They get it in. He sees a nice pitch ahead, like for the majority of the court, to a streaking LUKA BOGAVAC for the layup in transition. Easy money. The next possession for Carolina wasn't the 4th straight, but it could have been. It's another transition bucket, but Henri Veesaar commits an offensive foul drive into the basket. But it's the next possession then that is actually KYAN Evans' 4th assist of the game in quick succession. It's a transition, a pitch ahead, not as far, but over to Caleb Wilson. This is the one where he has the Euro step through and the one-handed vicious dunk as he's driving to the lane. That's the first 4 baskets. That's 4 assists already to KYAN Evans in this game. And I tell you guys, through the 2 weeks of the season we've seen so far, there are multiple things that make me believe in this team, make me trust this team, make me think this team, as it continues to gel and coalesce and come together, is going to be a phenomenal Carolina basketball team. But perhaps the best thing, the thing that makes me most believe in it, is the way that they play for one another. And you see that exemplified. You see it modeled. That's the word I'm looking for. You see it modeled in the way they share the basketball with one another. Always giving up good shots to look to get great shots. Right now, frankly, sometimes they've overshared it a little bit, but I would rather have them looking to try to find that than just like, oh, I'm a black hole when I get the ball. Buckets, Kobe, no, share the ball. And that's what they're doing. And that is really, really great. For example, it's no mystery, and we'll actually talk about this some here in a little bit in the second segment, that Carolina hasn't rebounded at the level that Carolina teams rebound in the HUBERT DAVIS era. It's just not been as much a priority. But also, while the rebounding probably gets the bigger headlines that, oh, Carolina doesn't rebound the same under HUBERT DAVIS, the same is true of the assists. Carolina has not shared the ball at the same level in the HUBERT DAVIS era as they did in the Roy Williams era. For example, in the last year of the Roy Williams era, so that would be the 2020-21 season, Carolina assisted season long on 55.3% of their made baskets. Pretty good, not the best Roy Williams season. But Carolina, that is the best of the 20s. They haven't done better than that in the HUBERT DAVIS era. And again, that's not even all that crazy of a Roy Williams number. The first 4 years of the HUBERT DAVIS era, Carolina has assisted on 54.1% of their assists, 45.4, 51.2, and 51.4. So none of those have touched what they did in the last year of the Roy Williams era, which again was a low number, 55.3. This year, again, low sample size. I hear it. I get it. But through 4 games, Carolina is assisting on 61.5% of their made baskets. That is great. Now, it's early in the season. Only one of those opponents has been a true, honest to goodness, going to give you a run for your money kind of opponent in Kansas. But Carolina has been doing it at a high level throughout the season thus far. And this year, you've got that number I said. And to go back to another year that's 60% or better, you got to go back to 2018-19, which is the Kobe White season. That year, Carolina finished assisting on 60.6% of their field goals, which was 14th nationally. And when you tune back into this year, not only has it been 61.5% season long so far, but 3 of Carolina's 4 games have been 60% or better assist percentage, meaning of the baskets they've made, 60% of them have been assisted. That ability to move a defense, to keep a defense guessing, to have a balanced scoring attack, man, that's what you got to do. I love this team because the ball doesn't stick. It keeps moving until we find what we want. As you look at what the Tar Heels are doing individually right now, 3 of them have double-digit assists, and all 3 of those have at least a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. That's great. So not only they're assisting, but they're not turning it over a ton either. KYAN Evans, 20 assists, 7 turnovers. That's nearly 3-to-1, by the way. If he had 1 more assist, it would be. LUKA BOGAVAC is 13 assists to just 3 turnovers. Are you kidding me with that one? And then Caleb Wilson, 12 assists, 5 turnovers. All 3 of those Carolina's 3 leading assist men right now, all of which are over 2.1 assist to turnover ratio. You can live with that every day of the week. And so you look at the sharing, you look at the camaraderie, the teamwork, the way they fight and battle for each other. And yes, the numbers might slip off a little bit, but there's nothing to suggest to me that this team is not going to carry on at a higher level of assisting than almost every HUBERT DAVIS team we've seen, and maybe be the very best one. That's encouraging news. I don't know if you feel that way, but I certainly do. Now, another part of the point guard conversation is that, especially with Seth Trimble down now for an extended period of time, you really got to see Derek Dixon come along. And something we saw in last week's game that we didn't see in the first 2, Derek Dixon and KYAN Evans on the court together for periods of time. How has that played out? We'll talk about it and the rest of the 4 Corners recap coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, you guys, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on that action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game, or maybe you're out there trying to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to who's going to have that fourth quarter comeback and more. Plus, you can even combine all those live bets into a same game parlay where you have a shot at an even bigger payout. How cool is that? What this does is it keeps every game exciting because you got a little something extra riding on it, and it gets you all the more invested. That's pretty cool. When you look at the Wooden Award odds for this season right now, as Caleb Wilson continues to grow and grow and people take more notice of him, he is now up to eighth or tied for eighth, I guess I should say, in the Wooden Award odds at plus 3,000. If you think Caleb's going to keep doing this thing, man, right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So again, if you think that Caleb can do that, get in on it. Get these bonus bets as well. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game. Again, that's with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks so much for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listen or watch of the day. And also, thank you for helping us make the Locked On Network the #1 sports podcast network out there. That's really, really cool. Thank you. It's time for the Four Corners recap. Number one, I had begun to wonder, would we see much, if any, of KYAN Evans and Derek Dixon together, or would they be mutually exclusive? Because especially with Seth Trimble down, you need both of them to run the show at times. Well, in game one and in game two, literally no court time together. And we saw a little glimpse of it in game three against Radford last Tuesday night. They played together 3 times, but it was for not very long stints. There was a 39-second stint with the two of them, along with Jonathan Powell, LUKA BOGAVAC, and Henri Veesaar. That's kind of part of the mix you're looking for there. Now, that's obviously a small lineup, means that Jonathan Powell is the 4. And then you had a couple other kind of random lineups of the two guys we're talking about, KYAN Evans, Derek Dixon, along with Jaden Young, Caleb Wilson, Zayden High. That was just 22 seconds. And then another one for 21, the two we're talking about, plus Jaden Young, Zayden High, and Henri Veesaar. So not much time. I mean, all told, you're a minute 23, something like that, minute 22. That's not enough time to really get much of any idea, especially since it's a concoction of different lineups, right? I want to see some consistency, and what's really going to help is seeing the two of them, KYAN Evans and Derek Dixon, along with 3 of the other 4 starters. Some combination of BOGAVAC and Stevenson and Wilson and Veesaar. And that, my friends, is what we got in the North Carolina Central game. A more extended time and time with those lineups. Now, the time that Evans and Dixon spent the most time together with was not that starting lineup. It was the two of them along with Zayden High, Jonathan Powell, and Jarin Stevenson. But that's a very real scenario because that's kind of a second team lineup that you're looking at. They played 2 minutes, 34 seconds together and outscored NC Central 8-3. But then the other times that Dixon and Evans played together in this game, it was with 3 of the other 4 starters. So for a minute 57, the two of them played with Wilson, Veesaar, and BOGAVAC and outscored NC Central 8-0 in that span. Again, a smallish sample size, right? You can't extrapolate too much of anything off of that, but it's not nothing and it's not a bad sign. So that's good. And then they played 46 seconds with Caleb Wilson, Henri Veesaar, and Jarin Stevenson. So that massive lineup. And when you think about this, the 3 6'10", 6'10", 7-foot guys with a 6'5" or 6, whatever that is, Derek Dixon at the 2, basically does the same thing as BOGAVAC there. So you're not giving up any size. And honestly, I guess I hadn't thought about that. If Evans takes a breather and Dixon's in along with the other 4 starters, you're going 6'5", 6'5", 6'10", 6'10", 7 foot. That is crazy town. But it's awesome, and that's what Carolina has at their disposal. So all that to say, I'm glad to see Coach Davis utilizing getting the two of them out on the floor together. I think a lot of good could come of that. Now, you can't play it to death because you need Dixon to be able to come in and provide backup point guard minutes so that Evans can get those breathers. Number 2 in the Four Corners recap. Luka Bogavac has now led Carolina in plus minus in 2 straight games. Now, I hear you screaming as I say it, and yes, I agree. I don't think that plus minus is the most telling stat, the most helpful stat, but I do think it helps give us an idea, like in totality, of who is helping your team succeed when they're on the floor. Obviously, there's factors like who's the other team, who are my teammates, right? Like if I'm a first team guy playing with a bunch of third team guys, we're probably not going to be as successful. But when you just start to put all the pieces together, eventually the guys that are the most successful, you're going to start seeing that plus minus be really high. Well, for each of the last 2 games, oh, by the way, it just so happens to be the games that Luka Bogavac has been inserted into the starting lineup. He has led the team in plus minus in both of those games. Against Radford last Tuesday, it was 26. Against NC Central on Friday night, it was 39. It was a plus 39. That's crazy, crazy cool. Not to mention that he was the leading scorer, Luka Bogavac, in one of those games and the second leading scorer in the other. So the reason I bring this up is to say you're starting to see Luka get it, pick it up, really find his way in, and now he's going to be ready to take off. So again, I think that's one of the silver linings of Seth being out for some time is it gives Bogavac a chance to really, really trial by fire, right? Like be just thrown into it and like, here you go, buddy. Good luck. Number 3 in our 4 corners recap. Oh, and by the way, I guess one other thing I do want to say about Luka is now the key for him is to start doing that when you play high major competition. So sort of ish St. Bonaventure next week. They're in A10 school, but definitely Michigan State next Thursday. Definitely against Kentucky. Definitely against Georgetown. Definitely against Ohio State. We need to see it from Luka in those moments. Number 3 in the 4 corners recap. On Friday's show, I said one of the what to watch for was we got to see better 3-point shooting out of this team. It was bad. It was under 30% as a team for the season, and that is simply not going to cut it. This team needs to be able to balance what they can already do in the front court with what they can do from beyond the arc, including some of those guys in the front court. Well, it wasn't a perfect night, but Carolina did shoot much better from 3. 11 of 28 for 39%. Season long, that does get Carolina up over that 30% threshold. Praise Jesus. Love that. 32.2% they are right now. Not great, 32.2%, but certainly better than where it was. Here's what's also encouraging about the NC Central game. 7 different Tar Heels made at least 1 3. Caleb Wilson, Jarin Stevenson, KYAN Evans, Luka Bogavac, Jonathan Powell, Derek Dixon, Isaiah Dennis. You like that because that's a lot of the guys that are in your main rotation. Obviously, Seth didn't make one because he didn't play. Interestingly, Henri Veesaar didn't attempt a 3 in this game, but I'm okay with that. The threat of him stepping out a lot of times is good enough. And so really cool there. And season long, KYAN Evans is shooting 41% from 3, Veesaar 42.9, Dixon 45.5, and Wilson 50%. Caleb, of course, he's only attempted 4 and made 2 of them, but still, you'd rather have him making them than not. So good thing for Carolina. There's a couple of guys, though, that do need to step up with this. Right now, Luka Bogavac is shooting 22.9% from 3. That's got to get better. Jarin Stevenson, slightly better at 23.1%. He, too, needs to get it going for Carolina to achieve the things they want to do. But again, small sample size. We recognize that. And then fourthly, in our 4 corners recap, by the way, as we talk about 3-point percentage, can we just stop and acknowledge the fact that Carolina, through 4 games, are 62.5% from 2. That is absurdly good. And in that, they are 24th nationally in terms of 2-point field goal percentage. And if we're being honest, so much of the reason that's happening right now is because of Carolina's front court of Caleb Wilson and Henri Veesaar. Wilson right now is shooting 66.7% from the field. That bumps up slightly to 68.4% from 2. A bigger jump, though, for Henri Veesaar, 69.7% on the season, 76.9% from 2. I cannot fathom what it takes to make over 75% of your 2-pointers in major college basketball. That's that's really, really crazy hard to do. Good stuff there from Henri, Veesaar, and Caleb Wilson for the way they continue to help Carolina do this. Now, other guys got to step up and help them with these twos, but if they can stay like remotely this efficient from beyond the arc, man, it's going to put the Tar Heels in a great spot. And that's why doing that then enables you to be able to do it more capably from inside the arc as well. It's got to be complementary football. That's what we're talking about. And I think part of the high percentage from two is not getting complacent. You got to keep driving. You got to keep attacking the rim. Now, that's going to be harder because Seth Trimble's not in the lineup right now, but you got to find ways to do it, and you got to find guys who can do it because, again, you don't have Seth to rely on. All right, where we got to go now is our shady stat of the game. I mentioned rebounding earlier. I've got an interesting observation for you in the shady stat of the game. Plus, we'll have our weekend whip around all coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Game Time, you guys, college football is back, and quite frankly, there's nothing like it. I couldn't be more excited. It's the tailgates, it's the rivalries, the energy in the stands. Whew. But we got to be real about it. Actually getting tickets to the game sometimes can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. You got these endless lines, prices jump up on you, checkout, hidden fees, all of this. And that's why you need to check out Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to you, the fans. It's easier than almost anything else, and it's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Honestly, it is faster, it's cheaper, it's less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets, and I love that you can find views from your seat right there in the app. As you think ahead to tomorrow's game with Navy, Carolina, you can get tickets to this thing for $11 right now. Go ahead, grab a great seat, go have a fun night at the Dean Dome tomorrow night. Take the guesswork out of buying college basketball and football tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. It's time for the shady stat of the game, where I give you just something that I think has been so important. And this one is about this game, but it's also about season long. The Tar Heels have played 4 games. Their rebounding margin in all 4 of those games has been double digits, plus 15 against Central Arkansas, plus 12 against Kansas, plus 12 against Radford, and plus a season high 21 rebound margin against NC Central. The last time Carolina began the season with 4 straight games of double-digit rebounding margin, any guesses? The answer is none. Never in the Hubert Davis era has Carolina been able to start the season with 4 straight double-digit rebounding wins, basically. And, you know, I haven't taken the time to go back and do it, but I'm sure I could go back in Roy Williams' history and find a time when they've done that. But this is the first time in the Hubert Davis era. And man, that is something important. And that's a good thing to be able to celebrate. The per game average, Carolina right now, is plus 15 on the glass against their opponents this season on average. That is going to help you win basketball games, because a big part of it too is Carolina right now is like 40% in offensive rebounding percentage, which is another critical part of all of this that we're talking about. Great job by the Tar Heels. Let's get into our weekend whip around. We have to start in the NCAA tournament with field hockey. Ooh, too close for comfort on Sunday. I'll tell you that right now. The ladies on Friday had a rematch of their Final Four loss last year. That's St. Joe's, and they won 2-1. Not a blowout, not all that comfortable, but you'll take it because it's a win and you advance on in the tournament. And the same thing was true on Sunday, where Carolina, wouldn't you know it, was matched up with number 8 in the nation, Duke, in the Elite 8. So it's actually kind of perfect because it's number 1 versus number 8. But still, that is tough. Carolina had beaten Duke twice this season, 2-1 in overtime to end the regular season, which would prove to be prescient, and then 5-2 in the ACC semifinals. And on Sunday, Carolina basically did the same thing as the regular season finale, tied at 1. They go to OT, and Carolina scores like a minute and a half in, basically. And that's it, because it's sudden victory. Great stuff for the ladies. Now they are on to the Final Four, which will be next weekend, ironically enough. The Final Four this year is in Durham, North Carolina, without the Blue Devils playing in it because the Tar Heels sent them packing for the third time this season. And I don't keep receipts at all. No, I sure don't. Back to women's basketball. Obviously, we talked about they lost Thursday night to UCLA 78-60, but they rebounded and knocked off Fairfield on Sunday afternoon 82-68. Great stuff from the ladies. Women's soccer. Oh my. I must be brutally honest here with all of you. Are you ready? This is Uncle Isaac, Big Brother Isaac, whoever I am to you, confession time. I didn't think the women's soccer team was going to win in Knoxville. It's been a rough year. The Vols beat them 2-0 to start the regular season. And I was like, yes, I think it's going to be that, but maybe worse all over again because things have just not been great. But Carolina goes to Knoxville again. And the Vols score first. It's like, of course they do. Great. But then Carolina scores, responds a couple minutes later. And then, it's like less than 3 minutes later, and then gets another goal about 9-10 minutes before halftime. So you go to the locker room up 2-1, and that's great. But then Carolina comes out, and about 8 or 9 minutes into the second half, gets an insurance goal to go up 3-1, and that was the final tally. Carolina goes to Knoxville, knocks off number 3 seed in their region, the Tennessee Volunteers. Really, really encouraging stuff. Up next, the ladies will play 6 seed Texas Tech. That's going to be Thursday. It'll actually be in Fort Worth, not in Lubbock. So make sure if you're trying to go that you catch that. The time has not yet been announced, so we'll keep our eyes out for that. Massive congrats to the ladies for this win. That's huge to go to Knoxville and win that thing. Men's soccer, the NCAA selection show is today, so just be ready and prepared for that. Volleyball gets to host both Virginia teams over the weekend. UVA on Friday, Carolina beats them 3-1, and then Virginia Tech on Sunday, Carolina skunks them 3-0. And the final set, I think it was like 25-12 or something like that. That's crazy stuff. Really cool. Cross country was in action this weekend. Southeast Regional Championships. The women got 3rd and the men got 5th. Vera Schoberg makes it to nationals as an individual. And then the teams for Carolina are waiting to see if they will get an at-large berth or not. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Wrestling has their second dual meet of the season. Basically just like we're wrestling against another school is all that means. And that was Navy, just like the men's basketball team is going to do on Tuesday. Carolina hosted Navy, wins 20-18, kind of got a push there, but held on. That's all you're asking for. And then fencing was ongoing this weekend as well at the November North American Cup. Check out the recaps for how that went. All right, guys, that's a show. That's a Monday. Great stuff. You see how things are starting to come together for this team. I kind of tried to give you a little bit of an inside statistical look at it a little bit today because I just want you to see Carolina is really, really coming along, and it's great stuff. All right, you guys, if you haven't subscribed to the show, do it on audio and video both. If you haven't joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, we'd love to see you there. That link's in the show notes. A great Carolina community that you should be part of. Also, if you want to go deeper with the show, next level, get all sorts of perks, man, join the Locked On Tar Heels Insiders, where, again, you get free access to me as well. A great opportunity to help support the show. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll be back tomorrow to get ready for the Navy game. But until then, peace.